Lacari versus Lowko, Night Elf Mirror now on Hammerfall. Best of 3.
Especially since I think among all the participants, I think Lowko probably overperformed a little bit on expectations. Like, you know roughly how good he is from watching him, which I've done a lot. And then you see him in the tournament, and he's just a little better. It's like, nice for you, man. Like, you performed well on tournament day. And for Lacari, it was more like the other way around. I think Lowko was +1 on tournament day, and I think Lacari was -3.
Yeah, I think that, this is something that really just comes down to how well people can play under pressure, right? Like, some people that, feeling those eyes on you and realizing, okay, this is kind of what I practice for.
You started
this is
prediction,
the actual
nice.
performance, right? With some players, they that's more difficult. That's an obstacle in the way to them becoming victorious. And then for other people, they're kind of able to fuel, their gameplay.
We might see Lowko switch things up a little bit in this. You might see some Priestess of the Moon or Huntresses or Keeper of the Grove Huntresses. Heck, even Demon Hunter. I want to see what hero he goes here. That's quite important. It is Priestess of the Moon, so most likely Huntresses then. So I think he's been advised to switch things up a little bit, particularly for this because it's a mirror. So it's almost old school. One of the first things I ever learned in Warcraft 3 was Night Elf, Priestess of the Moon, Mass Huntresses. Going against other Priest of the Moon Mass Huntresses because it was incredibly strong back in the day. So it was just a case of who had the more Huntresses, who kept the more Huntresses alive, which is partly why I learned more micro than macro and stuff like that, because that was the priority when I was growing up learning Warcraft 3, was just almost a lot of my games were, I used to play Night Elf back then, were just Priest of the Moon Mass Hunts. So it's just who can do the better job. And that's why I sort of like leaned that way and got that bias. They're both starting off incredibly similar.
One of the things about mirror matchups, it's always kind of funny, is it's like, okay, well, how do you
no Demon Hunter, Panda,
your play? Are you both going to do
Bears.
the same thing? And if so, how can you like get a few inches ahead, a little bit stronger, and then try to turn that? But in this mirror matchup, we're immediately having a fork in the road where it's going to be the Priestess over here, and then I'm sorry, they're both going Priestess. My bad.
Yeah, so Lacari
okay, so then
always does this, and on the Wednesday patch, this got a big buff. Lowko never does this, but felt like he has to get with the program. So if Lacari loses this, I think it'll be a massive blow to his psyche.
Yeah, now this is going to be interesting then, okay? Because I'll go back to what I was saying then originally. Yeah, when you're doing a mirror matchup and you're both doing the same thing, I'm always fascinated when you get good players. Where is the difference in the build order, in the strategy, and how they approach this? The creep patterns in this case.
Yeah, Lacari is doing this thing that's pretty good against Demon Hunter first. You creep and you don't take all the creeps. You leave your archer to finish the final creep, and you go with an early bottom harass to dysregulate the Demon Hunter creeping. But in a mirror matchup, where both of you have Priestess of the Moon
he's got to build Moonwells and stuff like that with the
getting ahead doing this harass?
He
He's taking way more damage than Lowko is. Plus, he left the claws of attack +5 for later pickup, albeit. But still, this is supposed to work in an asymmetric matchup where you're against Demon first. It's not asymmetric, it's symmetric. He is now surprised and shocked by the fact, and I don't think he could have predicted this, that Lowko is doing bottom first as well. None of his preparation would have prepared him for this. Imagine if Lowko clicked his bottom and saw you didn't pick item and he's coming to pick it up now.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm dying.
That's quite observant about the item missing.
No, I
and stuff
totally
like
agree. Like, this feels like it would not necessarily be very good for Lacari. And, he's already got a wounded Priestess. It is daytime, so he can soak up the Moonwells, which he just now did. But, yeah, I don't know if that was necessarily the best mood. As far as leveling goes, they're both pretty even. The next person that gets a kill will be bursting into level 2.
Yeah,
I think
that's
Lowko
true.
just
You
needs to get out of
cannot
here,
lose the
really.
archer here. Not just because you won it, because it
There's
does
nothing
bonus
beneficial
damage,
about being here
because
right
it gives
now.
that level up, which will unlock True Shot Aura, which is 10% bonus damage for all ranged units, and that's all both of them have.
Okay, so right now, Lowko's on the run. I find personally, by the way, archers are just so hard to use. They're so brittle.
Yeah.
And we've got
He's
this
gonna
archer
lose
in
that
the
archer,
back,
probably.
and this is one of these just Warcraft 3 things where you're kind of getting in the way. Oh, nice! He gets the cloak. so he's not going to drop it. As we said earlier,
Good time for those
someone's
three
about to pop
Huntresses
level
to
2.
line
It's gonna
up.
come down to who gets that kill first. A
There it
scan,
goes.
or I guess not a scan. What do you call that?
Yeah.
Between StarCraft.
Yeah, scan is fine. It's a Goblin Laboratory reveal. It's 50 gold. Just like I guess it's 50 mana in StarCraft 1 on the scanner sweep. But this shows a little bit of experience. Lacari has a wisp here on the laboratory so that he can interact with it when the creeps are sleeping. And it allowed him to kill the archer and get the level 2. Although he hasn't picked True Shot yet, which is actually a really important early pickup.
Okay, this Huntress is getting pretty low. Remember,
He needs
you know, in
that.
this position, Lowko can basically
good.
dart back and then use those Moonwells. On the other hand, Lacari is very, very far from home, so you know, the damage that he eats during this is going to be somewhat permanent, at least when he's occupying this region on the map. So I like the way that Loco's been playing so far. I think Lowko basically, the moment that he holds that attack, immediately gets back to business and starts to creep over here. Going to grab that Ring of Superiority and probably go to another creep camp.
Picks up a Tome of Agility as well, which is lovely for him. Lowko is on double Ancient of War. He does have 35 population, but he found a way to go to tier 2 during all this. His Tree of Ages is ready. Now that gives him a couple of advantages. He can get the Moonglaive upgrade, which gives him heavy armor. That doesn't do anything in the Hunters matchup, but it does give an extra bounce. Think pre-upgrade Mutalisks. Muta would only do 2 hits, and then afterwards 3. That third hit isn't worth as much as the first 2. Maybe in Warcraft 3 a little bit more, but it's still an extra hit. He also gets an Alchemist, which allows him to get Acid Bomb or Healing Spray. Looks like Lowko went with the Acid Bomb.
That was you
is an
trying to do
area of
Healing
effect
Spray, wasn't
damage
it,
over time
before?
spell that also
Mike?
debuffs enemy armor.
The Alchemist.
So now we're going to have a dive over here from Lowko. He's damaging that Ancient of War. This is the creeping Ancient of War, so it's always in a little bit of an awkward position down here. 100's in the front here from Lacari, and you know, this angle, basically Lowko is taking advantage of the fact that he's on the outside of this Ancient of War. So this,
that was very nice.
Kill the Ancient of War.
Using the
as long as you don't
Sentinel.
get pulled through this narrow area, this bottleneck, you're going to be okay. Now,
Sentinel gives vision of invisible
Alchemist
units.
is pretty low. But again, I feel like, you know, this is one of the big things when you get fairly large armies in RTS is the positioning. You know, can you have a wide
This will be pretty
angle,
devastating to
concave beating
Lacari if he loses
convex?
this, because
Something
he's
I've said a lot
practiced this
before,
build
but
a
it's
lot
very
more than
true
Lowko
here, and
has.
so we're seeing this bottleneck. Units are escaping through here. I thought it was going bad for Lacari initially, but I think as time passed, it looks like he's going to be able to drive Lowko away.
Got to be
It
careful.
was
The
going
Alchemist
very
is-
poorly for him at first. Lowko did a cool move there. He has the Sentinel upgrade, which allowed him to actually reveal Shadow Melded units. The first Huntress died to an Acid Bomb damage over time because the Shadow Meld was late. The second because Lowko put an Owl right here, which gives True Sight and Flying Vision. Lowko pulled away after the fight started turning a bit against him. Lacari has 1-1 upgrades. Lowko is at 0-0. He does have the Moonglaive upgrade and the Alchemist, but now he's going to have to fall back. His unit count is pretty low. He's going to spend a lot of mana juice on the Moonwells to heal up the Alchemist. Bottom for Lowko is level 2.6. Lacari is level 2.8. He's a little bit closer. 1 or 2 more kills and Lacari would get level 3 and an upgraded True Shot.
Okay, both players managed to pull those
The
injured
Alchemist
Huntresses
is
away.
way out of place.
No kills just yet. Well, now one archer does go down. That Alchemist is very low, and it does end up getting killed. Lowko
He's chasing too hard
dropping
there.
that first hero in the chase back on the other side of the map. The Huntress at 43 HP has gotten away. Lacari is continuing to get more and more
I am very
damage up
surprised
here.
how
I've
easily
seen Lowko
Lowko
come up
going
with
against,
stuff, but it's not a lot. There is actually
distracted.
a chance that we have just hit the tipping point here, that this is going to be the moment, you know, where there's no return. Night hasn't come yet, so the Moonwells can't refresh, and you basically have this position where Lacari can continue to do damage over time, and there are units separated from each other. 3 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and a lot of them are very low on HP, so they can barely engage at all.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Lowko is
Best
kind of
chance is to
wedged
take
in
the
this
Priest of
weird
the Moon
place
out.
where he cannot commit all his units from the same
He needs to
side.
focus Priest of the Moon and use a
Huntress
wisp to
is
block
even
it somehow,
stuck
but that's
behind this Ancient of
kind of
War, so it's
unlikely,
taking
but
3 duck in a barrel shots. Alchemist comes back in.
It is
he
possible,
hits a good
but
acid bomb
he's
with
not
4
really doing that.
Huntresses, which are debuffed in armor. Lacari's
Priest of the
bottom
Moon
is
has to
very
be
low level, but
focused.
look at that. Alchemist with 1 armor is just taking tons and tons of damage. Lacari is full tier 1. Never invested in fancy things like Alchemist, Moonglaive upgrade, just raw power, Menergy, with 1-1 Huntresses and just lots of it. He had some foibles early on in the game. He had some fumbles, but now it looks like his superior experience in massing is overwhelming Lowko, and he's off to a 1-0 start most
Yeah,
likely.
that's GG.
I love the ballista coming up over here. He can GG. He's gonna park that out there. Game 1. Bit of a scuffle there.
Yeah.
Both on one basis, Huntress versus Huntress. Interesting to see that Lacari, he went with that move that I think you and I agree was maybe questionable, being all the way across the map.
Yes.
And maybe you'll see it better than I did, but I'm not sure exactly when things.
He's not
went
so
south
experienced
for
with it,
Lowko. It seems
Lowko.
like he might have just eaten a little bit too much damage, and then the micro there from Lacari outside of Lowko's base was just too good.
So it's very complicated to point out where exactly it went wrong, but here's how I see it. Lowko shows up with an Alchemist. That's his power spike. He does an Acid Bomb and he kills the first 2 Huntresses. Now you're waiting for your next cooldown. You kill 2 Huntresses for free. If you pull back, your 2 Huntresses up. If you keep pushing, you're fighting without the cooldown of your Acid Bomb, without the benefit of the power spike that you unlocked. Instead, you're taking free pot shots on your Alchemist that has only 1 armor. Most heroes have 3 to 4 armor, and that's a lot of damage. Then you have to run all the way back, you're gonna get chased, take damage, and you're not marshalling all your forces. So when you do play a technical approach, where you try to use the early second hero, you gotta keep playing around those ability cooldowns. If you have an Acid Bomb, go in. When you're without of it, go out.
Interesting. I mean, we're going to go into game 2 in a little bit here. Is there any one thing that Lowko could have done better? You were saying before that, like, it was Lowko, correct, that was not going for this? He was going Demon Hunter before?
Normally, yes. 100% Demon Hunter rate.
Okay.
So I think this is part of what led to the awkwardness of Lacari basically doing a play that has a low expected value. Him sending Padam across the map and doing harass. That didn't give him anything. And it's because it was rooted in the wrongful assumption that he would be Priestess against Demon Hunter, where you are supposed to do that. So this is the benefit of Lowko's secret preparation. Now, what is working against Lowko? He's never done this before.
Yeah. I mean, the hero, it's such a huge part of just experiencing any game of Warcraft 3, right? So to have to be operating with a different tool entirely because you have a totally different hero is something else. And guys, looks like we're going to be hopping into game 2 right now. This is on Last Refuge. It is.
Good luck, Lowko. Let's see if you can pull it off a little bit better. But if at first you fail, then second time surely you succeed.
Victory, actually.
Right.
For Lacari
Right.
as well. Since he got 0-3 swept by TommyKay, Lowko nabbed to win against Turin and was pretty close to winning some others. So Lacari did manage to get that here, but it is a best of 3. We've seen reverse sweeps. It's pretty easy to lose a hold of the match. We will see the answer to the question of, will Lowko go Priestess of the Moon again and do a mirrored matchup?
Gonna show the
trying
prediction
to match
here.
Lacari in a build that Lacari has about.
You guys actually went
650
really heavy
games
on
more experience on.
Lowko here.
Let's say 150.
So that's interesting.
Crazy. He's a grinder.
Yeah.
Well, in this game, we have the kind of proxy Ancient of War here by the creeps. A very, it's the way that the Night Elves are going to be creeping in any given map here. I would assume we're probably going to see the same composition of units again, right? Or do you think there's a chance that maybe Lowko... And look, this is kind of one of these... we're in a tournament, right? You got to figure out what's the best shot you have to win. Could he maybe go for, an older hero? Like the Demon Hunter, just out of comfort and maybe try to make that work?
He could. I mean, this is the big question. Lowko right now is completely dropping the ball. He forgot to make hero. He forgot to make wisps for a bit. Now finally starts his priestess. It's about 12 seconds late or so, maybe 15 even. So I do think that he's getting a little bit psyched out about Knight of Mirror. I think his conversation with his coaches must have gone something like, okay, bottom dominates this matchup now ever since the patch. Demon Hunter Archers. There are some ways to handle mass hunts, but they require a level of finesse and mechanics, like Panda second, Tinker second, heroes that he hasn't used a lot. That is too difficult for him to handle, so he just said, okay, I will try to reinvent myself in 2 hours. And he did 5 practice games, and he tried Priestess first, and this was his discovery. Now, if he loses this, it will be very unsatisfying for Lowko, because he made that rookie mistake where you play something you've never practiced before, and that's the most unsatisfying way to lose.
Yeah,
Mr.
100%.
Ancient of
Is
War.
This is a kind of a weird, nuanced question here, but at the top, Lacari's Ancient of War, is it supposed to be closer to the trees?
Yes.
Or does it not matter?
Yeah, it should be on the left, so that you have trees more nearby, and also you have an option to go to the mercenary camp. Basically, how Lowko placed it is more effective.
True.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, for the time being, we're just seeing them continue to creep up and develop. We're going to be getting
harass
into
already
the
kicking in.
Huntress's phase here once that
It'd be
Hunter's
interesting
Hall
to
is
know how much
finished.
gold
So
and
Lacari
would
did
you
a really good
lose
move here, actually. He came
when
in
you
with
cancel a
the Priestess of
building,
the
right?
Moon, and he did a camp.
If there was like a UI for the player itself, when you're playing the game, when you cancel, it says like minus 27 gold, minus 16 wood or something like that. It'd be very interesting to know those little details.
He's instead spending that life on this Ancient of War, so he will cancel it again. Now, he should be kiting to the right between every shot, and he hasn't been doing that enough, so he can actually die or TP here, and he's going to sacrifice TP.
So the idea is that the second Ancient of War is late.
Yes.
And so the accumulation of
75%.
Huntresses
Yeah, but
is
Grubby was
going
saying
to go to
something
Lacari.
like,
There-
depending on how late you cancel, also costs more gold, but it's not something I've really tested much.
you're both doing the same thing. A lot of times is enough to win a fight.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like now the second Huntress is late, which also means the third is late, which means the fourth is late. So it's a lot of production damage. Lowko now has one Huntress, and he's making a second. Where is Lacari at? He's got...
Subtract 75% of the damage taken. So you want me to calculate the exact amount of damage taken on a building by when I cancel it? That's not going to happen, is it?
Continuing to creep down here. It looks like he's going to get the Slippers of Agility +3.
Very good items for Lowko.
Literally do
Gonna be a pretty
math
quiet
whilst
game.
playing
so,
the game.
Over at Lacari's base, he's getting out those Huntresses 2 at a time. The second Ancient of War just finished like a second ago.
For Lowko, yeah.
So let's take a quick checker. So I see 2 Huntresses on the map for Lacari and 2 more about to pop out. For Lowko, I see 1 plus... Yeah, I see 1. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's 1 that's cloaked and for some reason is still down here. But yeah, I think actually it's going to be more than a 1 Huntress lead here.
Yeah, he forgot to rally the Huntress. And also, Lowko has made the investment again to go to tier 2. Perhaps again for the Alchemist. Archer dying to creeps. Ooh, that's a big loss. But Archer does
That's
a lot
rough.
of, yeah, does
Probably
a lot
better
of
to
damage.
lose it to the creeps
happens
than to
all the way up
Lacari
to,
later on.
I would say 1600 MMR that people lose to creeps a unit. Of course, that would never ever happen to me at high elo. Like, definitely never ever happens. Kappa.
Happened to me yesterday, man. It was brutal. Yeah. Now, if he's teching to tier 2, you know, whenever you're doing one base play in like this, the question is always going to be, can you actually tech up, or do you have to kind of throttle this, right?
Yeah.
Do you have to like just kind of stay at this, maintain at this level, and keep making Huntresses and decide to tech up later? With tier 2 on the way, if Lacari can't punish here, it could be beneficial.
That
for Lowko
Sentry
later
Ward's pretty
on.
valuable. That
However,
says
I
that
see this
Lacari's going to
attack
come in
inbound right now
hard,
from
so you could put an
Lacari. I
Ancient
just
Protector
don't know
down
if the
here if you
numbers are
wanted.
here for Lowko.
Now it arrives kind of in a snake with the low Huntress leading, so not good for Lacari. Lacari also didn't have Searing Arrow on. He turned it on presently. There's a clear numbers advantage for Lacari, so Lowko should be pulling back and waiting for his Tavern Hero to finish. But it means a couple of free hits as well. Lacari has an attack upgrade as well. He invested in immediate power rather than tier 2.
Is that?
And that's going to
I
help
think
him.
Lacari has
Also,
an Ancient
the
Protector
of
being
War
built
becomes a
at the
target,
top
which
left.
kind of
If you look on the
forces Lowko's
minimap,
hand
I
to
think there's a bit of
defend.
blue.
But now there's no
I'm
longer
not
a big
100%
numbers
sure.
advantage. 6 hunts against 5. There is
Hard
an
to
Archer
tell.
for
It looks
Lacari,
like
which
blue on the
does
map.
pretty nice damage. But somehow Lowko is tripping more over himself with his own units than Lacari is. New Hunters pops out. Lowko has the numbers advantage.
Oh, he does. Yeah, look. Ancient
And
Protector
it looks like Lowko's going to hold. Honestly, this is really good. You know, the Huntresses are a little bit clunky. I don't know if any are going to get stuck in the back, but I think there is extra damage. He could probably at least pick 1 off on the way back here. And now the Priestess is going to be the one in the back. So never mind. He's going to basically get all of his units back home. So tier 2's done. We got a Tree of Ages up here. Tree of Life still back here for
Tasteless not
Lacari.
picking up on the hint.
What
about
we
the
were
Ancient
talking
Protector.
about is beginning to come true, as there's going to be a lot more teching opportunities and developing opportunities later on here, especially with his second hero.
Yeah, there it is, the second hero for Lowko. This time he goes Healing Spray first instead of Acid Bomb. It should be noted
Definitely
that
better.
Lacari, he took some time to heal up from his Moonwells. He's going back in, and he's trying to make this an all-in, making Huntresses all the way to 50 pop cap, And he's got an Ancient Protector right here. This is kind of a tower rush. Lacari accidentally moves into the creep camp. This is a really
Well, don't do it, Lowko. Don't move in. Don't move in. That's going to be bad for you.
Day,
I'm surprised
that
it
are
actually
on
not
attack
back.
move
There
that
it
would
is.
otherwise not attack creeps
Now Loko's going to be getting
will
hit.
aggro into creep camp. This is kind of like, I would almost call it a bug. But it's because there's a sudden
Oh, that's
appearing...
really funny.
Yeah, it's very... Like, this is the kind of thing someone needs to coach you on, because you won't figure this out by yourself for 1,000 games.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, so because they can attack and they're not like in that kind of neutral, sleepy position, they just end up getting in fights.
Yeah.
But we've got a pretty funny back and forth over here. I'll tell you who's
This
definitely
is
not coming
messy.
out good in this position is the creep.
Although the Ogre Magi's there, so
We're gonna
Lowko should
suffer
just
the
go
most
for the
right
Ogre
now.
Magi. Just get it. Get it,
Sandwich.
run back.
Heal Scroll goes to Lacari. That's a pretty big pickup. Both of them
wasting a
feel
lot of
very
time. He's too
uncomfortable with the
hesitant.
position. Lowko trying to
goddamn
pull back
hesitant.
with a lot of
Just
low
A move.
units. Heal Spray doing something. There's a protection scroll. Lacari is getting the better end of this.
Do they not A move much in
Great control
StarCraft
there
2
by
or
Lacari.
something?
Ooh, gets a potion of invulnerability. That's going to be handy. He grabs that. We still don't have tier 2.
It's just
back
too much
here.
time dancing back and
and you
forth.
can't get a
Yeah,
second
you're
hero
just
without
wasting
tier
too much
2.
time. You're not attacking. It's just zero value
So, I
if
mean,
you're not attacking.
Lowko, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to creeping. Well,
I mean, he can't.
I'm sorry.
He's
yeah,
getting
never
tower
mind. It's
rushed.
going to be an attack. yeah, never mind. You might have pointed that. I
Tier
think I
2 at
spaced out.
least,
Sorry.
but
So, yeah, he's
taking
got the
a lot of
tower rush
damage.
over here. And it's really going to come down to whether or not Lowko can hold this or not. I think if Lowko does hold this, though, he's going to be in a phenomenal position.
Yeah, he should be, because he will eventually have an alchemist with levels. Lowko also needs glaive throwers, ironically. He doesn't believe in glaive throwers anymore because everyone keeps saying they're bad, including me. And he really took that to heart. But that's exactly what he needs here against mass huntresses and Ancient Protector. Nice target fire on the low huntresses by Lacari. Bottom for Lowko. It's getting stuck. He's almost going to be dying.
Good gap, though, to get out
More
almost.
Huntresses are dying for Lowko. He's also taking hits on his huntresses. They do have the Moonglaive upgrade with better armor type against towers, but it doesn't do anything for Huntress Mirror.
Yeah, this is brutal. Looks
Alchemist
like the
dead.
Alchemist is going to go down. He's going to try to get over to the corner. It's 32 HP. It does stay alive. Both heroes super low on HP.
Priest of the Moon could have gone for that.
The Huntress fight is snowballing right now in the favor of Lacari.
Lowko's just got to have to
So he
deal with that
stayed
annoying
back.
Ancient
I
Protector.
feel like he should use that Moonwell just above the Tree of Ages.
Yeah, take a sip. You're thirsty.
I actually think maybe Lowko can hold this. We have a couple more Huntresses on the way.
Down
No
she
TP on the
goes.
Priestess. The final searing arrow shot from Lacari takes him down. Alchemist goes down as well. It's GG. Lacari sweeps 2-0. Lowko falls by the wayside
Well,
in the top 7
GG,
and
man.
8.
GG. Unfortunate. I think Lowko needs, I don't know, like just needs more games or something. I honestly thought the StarCraft 2 part of him would transition a lot better into Warcraft 3, but it really clearly hasn't. I don't know how he plays it, but it's just a lot of the time, if he just moved, it would just be better than just doing nothing. You can see this. I don't think he's been taught just quite how much damage you can take if you spend running away. And he spends, because when he was going for the buildings and like that in the other games the other day, it was like he'll take one building down and then just like run away again, and then he'll pop back in and maybe do a little bit of damage to a building, then run away again. It's just like, you got to understand, you can just go for it, right? And if anything gets injured, then just pull that one unit back. You don't have to pull everything back. So there's a lot like that. Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate. I kind of wanted Lowko to do a little bit better, but yeah, and the unfortunate build order that he's not used to. Maybe if he had more practice in that build order, he could get it. But yeah, just move a little bit more, and then honestly, the games will go so much better for you there, Lowko. All right, well there you go. Lacari's going to move through. GG.
Work out, unfortunately. Same thing here for Lowko.
You're also, aren't you